Donald Trump's latest tax cut proposal is making headlines everywhere, but there's a lot of confusion about what's actually happening. Some people are claiming that the bill has already been released and is missing some key promises like no tax on tips and no tax on overtime pay. But is that really the case? Has the bill even been released yet, or is there more to the story here? In today's video, we're gonna be breaking it all down so you know exactly what's going on and exactly what to expect in this new tax proposal. All that plus more in today's episode. What's up, family? Welcome back to another episode of Tax-Free Living. My name is Carter Cofield, CPA, and today's episode is gonna be amazing because we're gonna break down Donald Trump's latest proposed tax cuts so you can have everything you need to know about your tax situation, how it's gonna affect your tax situation in 2025. Okay, so let's talk about it. On February 6th, the White House laid out Trump's tax priorities, including no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, and no tax on overtime pay. But now, viral claims on social media suggest that these cuts are not actually in the bill. So what's the truth here? Okay, so here are the details that you need to know. There is no bill yet. Okay, right now we are in the budget resolution phase, which is just a framework for the spending of the actual bill. Then once we have all the details, then we can go through the other phases of the process. But one thing I need you all to know, the bill hasn't even been written yet. Okay, so let's talk about how this process works, and then we'll talk about what I think Donald Trump will actually get away with this budget that he has. So how does the process work? Well, there are 4 phases to get a bill passed. Number 1 is the budget resolution phase. This is where we're at right now, and it sets the overall spending limit for the budget. Phase number 2 is congressional votes. The House and the Senate must approve the budget resolution, and once approved, we can move on to phase 3, which is the reconciliation phase. Committees draft the actual legislation, including the specific tax cuts, and then we move on to phase 4, which is the final voting phase. And this is where Congress votes on the final bill before it comes into law. So if you hear the bill is out and the massive cuts are missing, this is completely false because the bill hasn't been written yet. Okay? So now that we know that, I think it's very important that we discuss with the $4.5 trillion budget that Donald Trump has, will he be able to include everything that he wants to include in his tax cut proposal? So let's talk about it. The current budget resolution calls for a $4.5 trillion in tax reductions over the next 10 years. That's a crazy amount of money. But is it enough to cover all of the promises that Donald Trump made? Well, let's break it down. So the first and probably one of the most major things that Donald Trump wants to do is to renew the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017. This included 100% bonus depreciation on all equipment, vehicles, and things, and depreciation for real estate owners, which was probably one of the biggest parts of the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. So how much will it cost him to renew this? It will cost him an estimated $3.9 trillion to renew the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017. Okay? Now, the next thing he wanted to do was no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, and no tax on overtime pay. This would have an estimated cost of $1.1 trillion. Okay? So that means with renewing the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017 and implementing the no tax on tips, Social Security, and overtime pay, combined, that is over 4.5, all close to $5 trillion. That's a lot. Like, that's majority, if not more, of the spending. So let's say 3.9 trillion plus, yeah, that's $5 trillion right there. So we are actually $500 billion over budget already. Okay, so I don't think that the current budget we have will be enough to implement everything that he's trying to offer. So what does this mean? Okay, in my opinion, there are two possibilities. Okay, possibility number one, some of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017, all of those policies won't be able to be renewed. Some of those policies will be able to be renewed, but not all of them, right? So we'll probably get more of a watered down 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act renewal, which he can renew some things, but he won't be able to renew other things. The second proposed thing I think that can happen is the budget just gets increased, right? Maybe from 4.5 trillion to over $5 trillion, right? But right now, we don't have the current budget to add all of Donald Trump's proposed priorities that he mentioned on February 6th. Okay, so what is going to happen next? Well, the budget resolution has passed in the House and is now waiting on the Senate. Once that's done, we move to the reconciliation phase where the bill will actually be written. And at this phase, we'll get more details about, are we within budget or are we going over budget? This means we won't know the exact details of the tax cuts bill until it's officially released. And once it's released, I will be one of the first people to let you all know the changes that were made and the things that were included and the things that were excluded. But what we do know is that Donald Trump is pushing for the largest middle class tax cut in history, and the budget framework is in place to support it. Now, my final thoughts are there's a lot of noise out there, okay? But the truth is simple. Trump's tax bill does not exist yet. Right now, we're still in the early stages, and the details will come into the next few months. Until then, don't believe everything you hear on social media. And if you want to update, stay close to this channel because we will be providing updates on Trump's plan, the Doge stimulus packages, and all the things that are coming into effect in 2025 that will affect your money, that will affect your business, and that definitely will affect your taxes. So if you enjoyed today's episode, please send this to a friend. Please share this because I don't want people up in arms about something that doesn't even exist yet. Okay? So hit that like button, hit that share button, and please, if you enjoyed this as well, hit that subscribe button. And if you haven't already seen my episode on the Doge $5,000 stimulus checks, click the link somewhere on this video so you can go watch that. I gave some amazing details about that as well. And until then, I'll see you all next time. Peace.